I think this has been a bit of a long diversion, but we're talking about communities, and to go back to something that Kelly said before we started recording, with R, you said that there are some helpful forums where beginners could go and ask questions. I think you were saying that there are rules about what you should do, but if you followed the rules, you weren't disciplined. You were just told, well, wouldn't it be better if you could do this? Something like that. I don't know if you'd like to say more about that, Kelly, so that we get a contrast between, so we can see that there are other community possibilities.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for that, Jonathan. So in R, I believe that a lot of effort has been put forth to allow new users to feel comfortable posting when they receive an error and they don't understand it, and so that they can use the forum for a learning experience as well as a method to move past that error. And so if they post something that is potentially going to cause more work for people to try to help them than what they're willing to put in or have time to put in, then the user is reminded what the guidelines are and then perhaps pointed to a place where the guidelines exist and an example of how to do that. But I feel like the difference here is that instead of being told to not post, they're just reminded how to post better in a friendly environment, which encourages them to post again. And I haven't necessarily found that for LaTeX, where if I can't adhere to the rules, what I'm supposed to do next. And I can only do so much myself because I don't have a formal training in computer science. And so I was wondering if there's a place that new users can go to try to get that experience and knowledge on how to produce minimal examples rather than just being required to do so.
I'm going to chip in with a couple of ideas. Well, the first one isn't an idea, it's what happens on Stack Exchange. There's a forum called mathematics.stack exchange, which is sort of high school mathematics and above. It's not the high-flowing research stuff, but it's hard enough. And they use MathJack, so you have to know LaTeX to learn, you have to know some LaTeX to post mathematics to this forum. And they have a big help page that everybody is pointed to, and I think there's a German translation of it. And that help page is viewed about 1 million. It's one of the most popular pages. It's been viewed a very, very large number of times. And I think there are some help pages on Stack Exchange, tech.stack exchange, that have been viewed a large number of times. So they're clearly meeting some sort of need. I learned tech from the tech book, and it has large numbers of drill exercises. I think they're a large part of learning mathematics. So you're asked to solve a linear equation, you're asked to solve a quadratic equation, you're asked to solve a word problem, you're asked to there's a whole series of exercises, lots and lots of exercises with the answers at the back. And that's what the tech book did. I don't know that we've got a good repository for examples of how to do things. So somebody's got problems with their package, yes, they should provide a minimal working example if they can, or a minimum not working example. Somebody writes a package, they should provide minimal working examples. Anybody that writes a package surely has a responsibility to create minimal working examples. And I'll stop at that point, but with one more. Oh, Tech by Example, a Beginner's Guide. You're showing me a book. You're showing me another book.
I bring these up because these are examples of cookbooks. On one side of the page is input, on the other side of the page is output, so that people can flip through the book and find something that looks like their problem and get a fairly quick clue as to what could be done. I don't know how widely these books are known, however, but it's an example of what can be done. Adobe has a similar one for PostScript, the PostScript cookbook.
Can you show those again, please, Nelson?
Yes. So
Very
the
helpful.
author is Arvind Borde, and the title, Mathematical Tech by Example and Tech by Example.
They're both a tech and not LaTeX.
They're both about tech, but for what he's doing, often users have trouble with typesetting mathematics, and so these are good resources for that. And for LaTeX, I would say George Gretzer's books for mathematicians really are essential tools because they give large numbers of examples of complicated math typesetting. I can probably find one of those.
I think this might be a fundamental difference in R versus tech, where there are books for R, but I would say that those are potentially going by the wayside towards books that are available online. And so a lot of people use those instead of having physical copies, and those online books are updated on almost sometimes a weekly basis. And versus these books, I don't know when they were published, and they might still be good resources, but they're just not as advertised, and the searching of them isn't as easy as something that's online, where you can just copy and paste the code and then run it yourself versus having to type it in. Does that make sense?
You're muted, Nelson.
Of course, the issue with mathematics is it's difficult to describe this in an online search. I'm trying to typeset, for example, commutative diagram. That's a general area of a small part of mathematics with rather weird notation. And unless you can actually see some examples typeset that way, it's really hard to imagine how to even to describe in the search engine what you're trying to do.
Searching might be an issue, but once you've found it, it would be so nice to have a URL. So if I mean, at one time, if you wanted a piece of information, you go to a library and you get a book and you look at a particular page number or something. And I live next to a university and I can't go into the library at the moment for social distancing reasons. And I feel as though tech's focus on typesetting, print, and PDF has caused it to neglect the importance of the internet. So one of the great things about the More Math into LaTeX by George Gratzer.
And
we've got some reviews. Oh, an ISBN.
Yeah, except that it's upside down.
No.
At least now, is it okay? I see a mirror image on my screen.
No, but we don't see it mirror.
Oh, okay, then you're fine.
Okay.
If you search for techbook3.bib on the net, you can find all of these listed.
I think that Overleaf has done a certain amount in terms of providing documentation with examples in it. And what's George? Overleaf provides a certain amount of examples, and the Learn LaTeX project provides an interactive engine that you can use without logging in. I think something about, I think there may be room for improvement here, but that presupposes that there's a community engaged to work on it, or at least a self-sustaining process.